So we're here for what we've decided to call our little weekend tidbit vid, the nature of things. And again, we're going to do a version of Surf and Turf. Before I mentioned that an old surfer friend of mine, Robert August from Endless Summer, had started a charity event that involved both surfing and golf. And he played in teams, and they called it Surf and Turf. And of course, we all like our steak and lobster. Our version's going to be, and has been, a little bit about our garden and our yard and the things that are on the terra firma here in New Jersey, and then the other parts about the beaches. So last week we went up to the point, and we were happy enough to see the piping plover and the American oyster catcher, and we showed some videos of them. This week we were fortunate to have gotten to the Delaware Bay to catch the tail end of the horseshoe crab, I guess you'd call it the egg-laying season, that the infamous red knot follows up the coast to eat its eggs before it takes its final jaunt off to the Arctic to nest. We got a report in from Dean Hatmaker that I'm going to incorporate into this video a little later with some information. She sent me an article on how the red knot has done this year, and from first glance it looked like the numbers were down a little bit, which is discouraging. We went over and saw the Back Bay, saw the tail end. The red knots had already left. They opened up the Back Bay beaches this week a little earlier than they had thought, so we were a week late, but the red knots were gone. Most of the other shorebirds were gone, but a lot of the seagulls were there eating the eggs, and there was still a fair amount of horseshoe crabs there left doing the ends of their business. So we got some videos and some pictures of that. During the spring, if you've watched our other garden shows, we talked about when the orioles came through and the warblers came through. We talked about one of our trivia questions in one of my shows, might even been the book chat, that to know when the drum fishing was going to pick up when the dogwood bloomed and the gnats started to bite. So there's a little bit to the seasonality of life, you know, to everything there is a season, and that's very interesting to keep track. We talked about before about the guy in Alaska, Prenicky, who kept all his notes of his garden and his wildlife observations. So next week I'm going to do a little report on the different seasons of the berries, the life cycles of some of the insects that we have coming through the yard, including this caterpillar, which I really can't get mad at him because he turns into a beautiful butterfly. So instead of trying to end his life, I always try to find him, pick him off, and put him somewhere else in the garden. But every year he either beats me to it or I catch him halfway eating all my parsley. So we're going to do a little report on the life cycle of some of the bugs. Before we go to the bay to show you the horseshoe crab segment, we had a little bit of a sad little story here where I did not know that either a wren, and we're still doing the research on the egg, either a wren or a hummingbird had made a nest in one of our hanging plants. And unbeknownst to me, I never picked up on it. I watered the hanging plant very heavily to the point where I actually took the plant down, moved it over to a bucket of water I had, and literally doused it with tons of water. And when I came home from work today, I noticed that there was a beautiful little egg laying on the deck. And then Marnie decided that maybe they had nested in one of the hanging plants, and she was right, and we found the nest. So Parker will show a picture of the egg and the nest, and if anybody can help me decide whether it's a Carolina wren or a hummingbird, because I haven't had the time to look at it, that would be great. In the meantime, the rest of the show is going to be those pictures, and then the pictures from our trip to the Delaware Bay.
Sitting in the morning sun, I'll be sitting when the evening comes, watching the ships roll in, and then I'll watch them roll away again. Yeah, I'm sitting on the dock of the bay, watching the tide roll away. Ooh, I'm just sitting on the dock of the bay, wasting time. I left my home in Georgia, headed for the Frisco